Coming up today, U.S. authorities attempt to put the pieces together on the Orlando terror attack. President Park Geun-hye sends a letter of condolence to President Obama as a show of support. With their share prices taking a battering, more Lotte Group affiliates are raided by prosecutors as their probe into the conglomerate's alleged shady dealings ramps up a notch. First, Microsoft is buying LinkedIn, dubbed the social network for professionals, in a deal worth more than $26 billion. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Tuesday, the 14th of June. You're tuned into our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story this afternoon, a host of new details are emerging about the gunman behind the deadliest mass shooting in modern American history. The FBI says the man who killed dozens of people at a gay nightclub in Orlando was almost certainly driven by a radical Islamic ideology, but no links to a specific group have been unearthed yet. Kim Il-kyun starts us off.
FBI Director James Comey says the Orlando gunman Omar Mateen, a 29-year-old New York native and son of Afghan immigrants, had strong indications of radicalization and was inspired by foreign terrorist organizations. Speaking at a news conference Monday, Comey said federal authorities were still trying to determine Mateen's exact motives for shooting up the gay nightclub. The FBI chief added that it is still not clear which terrorist group Mateen supported, as he pledged solidarity with conflicting organizations.
So there were 3 total calls. During the calls, he said he was doing this for the leader of ISIL, who he named and pledged loyalty to. But he also appeared to claim solidarity with the perpetrators of the Boston Marathon bombing and solidarity with a Florida man who died as a suicide bomber in Syria for al-Nusra Front, a group in conflict with the so-called Islamic State.
Comey said the police are trying to determine whether Mateen had recently scouted Disney World as a potential target, as reported by People.com, that cited an unidentified federal law enforcement source. As the investigation goes on, the international community is mourning the 49 innocent people killed in the massacre. Messages of support have flowed in from around the world, with many saying the response should be one of love, not anger. France's Eiffel Tower was lit up in rainbow colors to express condolences to the victims, many of whom came from the LGBT community. Thousands of people observed a 2-minute silence in London's Soho neighborhood, lighting off hundreds of balloons in memory of those killed. A vigil was also held in the Canal Street district of central Manchester in northern England, an area of the city that is packed with gay bars and restaurants. Mexicans also joined a vigil outside the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City to show their support for the victims. Kim Il-kyun, Arirang News.
The Korean government has sent a letter of condolence to U.S. President Barack Obama for the terror attack in Orlando. President Park Geun-hye said that on behalf of the Korean people, she wanted to offer her heartfelt prayers and condolences to the victims and their bereaved families. She added that acts of terror against innocent people can never be justified nor accepted under any circumstances. President Park also stressed that Korea, like America, would never give in to fear, and in this process, Seoul will forever stand by its old ally. Now, the Orlando nightclub shooting is shaping the campaigns of the 2 main U.S. presidential candidates, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Kim Jong-soo takes a look at how each plans to tackle the issue.
The tragic shooting in Orlando is propelling the issues of terrorism and gun control to the forefront of the U.S. presidential election. Republican candidate Donald Trump on Monday renewed his call for a temporary ban on Muslim immigrants.
Our nation stands together in solidarity with the members of Orlando's LGBT community. We must find out what is going on. We have to do it. It will be lifted, this ban, when and as a nation we're in a position to properly and perfectly screen these people coming into our country. They are pouring in and we don't know what we're doing.
Hillary Clinton also responded to the tragedy, calling for closer cooperation with U.S. allies and improvements to domestic law enforcement to prevent terrorist acts on U.S. soil, as well as a better technological system to prevent the spread of Islamic State propaganda.
As president, I will work with our great tech companies from Silicon Valley to Boston to step up our game. We have to do a better job intercepting ISIS's communications, tracking and analyzing social media posts, and mapping jihadist networks, as well as promoting credible voices who can provide alternatives to radicalization.
Trump criticized Clinton for her part in the Obama administration's immigration policy, which he said was responsible for the killings in San Bernardino last year and Orlando. He said that under Clinton's plan, the U.S. will be, quote, admitting hundreds of thousands of refugees from the Middle East with no system to prevent them, or to prevent the radicalization of the children and their children. Clinton characterized Trump's Muslim ban as wrong and dangerous, saying it, quote, plays right into the terrorist hands. While both candidates have addressed the need for improvements to counterterrorism policy, citizens have once again begun to call for stronger gun control laws. So far, Trump has rejected the idea of tight restrictions on gun purchases, while Clinton has argued for a ban on semi-automatic weapons and tighter controls for people on terrorism watch lists. Kim Jung-soo, Arirang News.
Now, in the rest of the day's news, President Park Geun-hye has called on Korea's public sector to lead reforms in finance, labour and education. She made the remarks Tuesday at a gathering of representatives of 126 public agencies who reported on their reform efforts and achievements and shared best practices in restructuring. The majority of the institutions have adopted performance-based salaries, and several have either undertaken mergers and acquisitions or reduced redundancies with other agencies. Now, since the beginning of her term, President Park has pushed to normalise public institutions, focusing on reducing their debts and improving management. The unprecedented probe into one of Korea's biggest business groups is picking up ahead of steam. Prosecutors on Tuesday raided even more affiliates of Lotte Group as the authorities delve deeper into suspicions of slush funds and the conglomerate's shady governance. Kim Min-ji with the details.
The investigation into the country's fifth-largest conglomerate is forging ahead. Prosecutors launched a second raid on Lotte Group on Tuesday, searching 10 affiliates including Lotte Construction and Lotte Chemical. The raid also covered the homes of key executives. Prosecutors say they confiscated accounting books as well as documents on land transactions and financial deals among the affiliates. This follows a raid of the group's headquarters and 6 of its affiliates last Friday as part of a widening probe into slush fund allegations, as well as claims the group stockpiled wealth through internal trading among its affiliates. On Monday, prosecutors found over $2 million in cash and a stash of documents belonging to Shin Gyuk-ho, the founder of Lotte Group, at a private residence in Seoul. They are looking into whether it's part of a slush fund, as they have also traced over $25 million in suspicious funds belonging to Shin and his second son Dongbin, the chairman of Lotte Group. The crisis is also giving Lotte Group a torrid time on the local stock market, with roughly $940 million wiped off the group's shares on Monday alone. For the month of June, Lotte's market capitalization has lost $1.8 billion. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
The South Korean military has resumed its crackdown on illegal Chinese fishing boats after several Chinese vessels crossed back into the Hangang River estuary. Military sources say a small number of Chinese boats resumed fishing before the crack of dawn on Tuesday, but fled north of the border soon after the operations restarted. The estuary is the mouth of the Hangang River, which flows through Seoul, and it's neutral waters. It is neutral waters bordering the two Koreas. Last week, the South Korean military and UN command launched their first crackdown in the area since the end of the Korean War in the early 1950s. South Korea's national wealth was nearly 8 times larger than the nation's gross domestic product last year. The Bank of Korea says the amount was roughly $10 trillion, up around 6% from a year earlier. The wealth includes actual assets like real estate and automobiles, as well as financial assets. While the amount is concentrated mostly on non-financial assets, more than half comes from land assets like real estate. The trend of land assets taking up a large portion of total wealth picked up pace last year following government projects such as the designation of Sejong City as the country's new administrative centre. Korea is making an all-out push to move up a level from Morgan Stanley Capital International's Emerging Markets Index. A government delegation recently visited Morgan Stanley's Hong Kong office, where they explained how Korea is making improvements to its financial market to facilitate greater foreign investment. Korea has been seeking a spot on the MSCI's Developed Market Index since 2008. Experts say Korea is in a hurry to win a promotion to the big league so it can avoid competition against China. Korea could potentially lose billions of dollars of foreign capital to China A shares if the world's second largest economy is granted entry onto the bank's Emerging Market Index. Korean firms and agencies are increasingly turning away from stocks and bonds to the foreign real estate market. According to real estate investment manager CBRE Korea, local agencies invested over $7 billion on overseas properties in 2015, and that is over 25 times the corresponding figure in 2007. Overseas real estate investment has been on a rapid increase since 2011, with the figure more than doubling from the previous year in 2015. The National Pension Service and Mirae Asset Financial Group are the two big spenders, having spent about $14 billion and over $4 billion respectively. Analysts say the surge is due mainly to slow growth and low rates in Korea, and the uptrend is expected to continue. The electric vehicle battery market is expected to grow steadily over the next 2 years, according to Japanese market research firm B3. The market will grow 66.8% this year from the previous year to more than 16,700 kilowatt hours. Next year, the market is expected to grow 57.7% on year to over 26,000 kilowatt hours. A report by the OECD and the International Energy Agency shows the accumulated sales of electric vehicles worldwide stood at 1.26 million units at the end of last year. With governments around the world actively supporting the EV industry, experts expect the market to grow rapidly. Microsoft is taking over LinkedIn, dubbed the social network for professionals, in a multi-billion-dollar deal. Our Oh Jung-hee has a story.
Microsoft is buying professional social networking site LinkedIn for $26.2 billion. It'll pay $196 a share in an all-cash transaction, an almost 50% premium to LinkedIn's stock market value as of last Friday. Under the terms of the deal, LinkedIn will retain its own brand and independence, and CEO Jeff Weiner will stay on. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said the two companies share a mission of connecting the world's professionals and helping people work more efficiently.
Our customers are going to see these new delightful scenarios by bringing together their professional cloud, the way they use the everyday office tools, and their professional network.
It's a truly unique and unprecedented combination at scale. And you think about LinkedIn's 433 million members and Microsoft's global footprint of over 1 billion customers and all of the possibilities.
Microsoft has largely missed out on the consumer web boom dominated by Google and Facebook. Through this deal, it is expected that Microsoft will gain a solid foothold in the social network services market, mainly targeting professional users.
It's an expensive deal, but I think it does make some sense in the long term. Microsoft wants to become more and more of a services company, and I think what they're seeing with LinkedIn is the opportunity to create some interesting services, which, oh, by the way, they can link in with Office 365 and some of their other products.
The deal is one of the largest tech takeovers on record and the largest acquisition by far in Microsoft's history. Oh Jung-hee, Arirang News.
Now, it appears as though a clear majority of British voters now want Britain out of the European Union, with just 9 days to go before the June 23rd referendum. In a joint poll conducted by telephone and online from June 10th to the 13th, public opinion research company ICM and The Guardian found that 53% favoured Britain leaving the EU. 47% wanted to remain. The poll results do not include those who are undecided. When ICM conducted the same survey 2 weeks ago, the split between leave and remain was at 52% and 48%. Now, Korea has been dogged by bad air quality for a while now, but some respite is on the way. The National Institute of Environmental Research says people in Korea will be able to breathe a little easier for the next few months, as fine dust levels are not expected to hit bad until at least September. That's not to say the air will be perfect, but it should at least be more bearable. The Institute says high-speed atmospheric flow during the summer forces fine dust away from the peninsula, and the upcoming rainy season is also expected to wash away some of the airborne dust as well. Well, those are stories we have for you on this Tuesday afternoon here in Seoul. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out the website arirang.com/news. Have a great day. Goodbye.